Professor Dave here. Let's get a coffee.
He knows a lot about all kinds of stuff. Professor Dave explains.
Americans love coffee, and so do Italians, who first started drinking it when it was introduced in the 1500s via Central and South America. But even though some American coffee conglomerates pretend to borrow from Italian culture, the two paradigms are completely dissimilar. So let's dispel a few myths that exist, lest we embarrass ourselves on vacation. First, we will need to learn a little bit about how Italians like their coffee, and then how to order it properly when you're in Italy. The first myth is that Italians drink more coffee than Americans. This certainly is not the case, as even though coffee is ubiquitous, Italians will have at most 2 or 3 per day, one of which may even follow dinner, which is not at all like the many Americans that have 3 supersized coffees before lunch. Second, there is the myth that Italian espresso has more caffeine than American coffee. This is also not the case. Rather, American coffee has more caffeine per ounce than Italian coffee, as Italian coffee is brewed much faster. Italian coffee certainly has a more intense flavor, but we mustn't confuse depth of flavor with strength. Next, Americans have a beverage that they refer to simply as coffee, and then a variety of specialty drinks with Italian names like espresso and cappuccino and latte. When in Italy, even though your coffee will seem surprisingly small, do not call it espresso. They will immediately know that you are a foreigner. Italians call this caffè because it's the only thing they have, so it's not small to them. Coffee comes in only one size and always in an adorable tiny porcelain cup, so no grandes to go. Next, Italians don't like to mix too many flavors in their coffee. For this reason, do not seek out fancy concoctions such as frappuccinos or other innovations. You will not find them because Italians do not want them, and they look down upon those who do. This is why Italy is probably the only modern market that Starbucks is utterly unable to penetrate, because there is literally zero interest in their product. Once again, we will notice that Italian coffee is what Americans refer to as espresso. By the way, there is no X in this word, so it's not espresso. Say it with me one time, espresso. But this word simply refers to a special brewing method which pushes water through the finely ground beans at 9 bars of atmospheric pressure in just a few seconds. This is how the so-called crema is produced. This is not to be confused with a product of milk. It is simply the result of carbon dioxide mixing with the carbohydrates and proteins of the coffee. Another difference is that Italians don't spend too much time satisfying their coffee needs. They typically drink it very fast at the counter on the way to work. For this reason, many small cafes have only a few chairs, or even none. Instead, they simply have small tables at standing height. You may find a few coffee shops with table service, but you will be charged more for this. In such a place, do not order at the counter and then try to take your coffee to a table. This is considered very rude. Italians also never ask for coffee da portare via, or to go. Tourists may do that, and some cafes in touristy areas are starting to cater to it, but you will not see any Italians doing this. In terms of the drink itself, Italians prefer caffè nero, which is simply black coffee with no milk. In Naples, they sometimes add sugar, but this is totally a personal choice. In addition, cappuccino is a breakfast beverage in Italy, and it will never be ordered by any native after 10 or 11 in the morning at the latest, let alone late at night after dinner, the way Americans sometimes do. In fact, this behavior might trigger some laughter amongst the Italian population. So let's say you're on vacation and an Italian asks you to go for coffee. Prendiamo un caffè? Sì, grazie. Now that it's time to order, what will you have? Un caffè. This is equivalent to American espresso. Un caffè lungo. Same quantity of coffee, but with more water. Un americano, with even more water, almost certainly to be avoided. Un caffè ristretto, with half the already small quantity of water. Un caffè doppio, double shot, not commonly ordered amongst Italians. Un caffè macchiato. This literally means stained with milk. So that is the same size cup, but with a small dollop of foamy milk. Un caffè corretto. This literally means corrected, and as it turns out, that will mean with liquor added, usually grappa or sambuca. Definitely more of an after-dinner thing. Un caffè freddo, served in a glass with sugar and ice, typically in the summertime. Un marocchino, with cocoa powder added. Un cappuccino. This will be in a slightly larger cup with the addition of foamy milk. The name is derived from the color of the order of Capuchin monks, as cappuccino literally means little hood, a detail in the robes of the monks. And finally, un latte. But beware, if you order this, you will get exactly what you asked for, a glass of milk. The only thing you might be asked is whether you want it cold or warm. And that concludes your handy guide to ordering and drinking coffee in Italy. Along with wine and pasta and pizza, this is one thing Italians really knock out of the park, so enjoy. Thanks for watching, guys. Subscribe to my channel for more tutorials. Support me on Patreon so I can keep making content. And as always, feel free to email me, ProfessorDaveExplains@gmail.com.